Everyone, it's Sam here and I'm back with another side pop-up box card. I'm going to show you today how to make this 8x8 version. So it all folds down flat to go in your envelope, and then when they lift up the side you can see that wonderful little scene. You can have some moving elements. I've got a little wobbler on the dragonfly there, and these are great for many occasions, as you can see here. So I am doing a mini series for anybody new. So I've got a 6x8 version if you like that size card, gives you that taller section. Then you've got 5x7. And you'll find these in the playlist popping up now. If not, it'll be at the end of the video as well. And then I've also got a slimline. So this is your 4x8. And I'm also going to be doing a 6x6 and a 7x7. And I think that is the sizes done for this mini series. And then I'll move on to a new one. So these mini series is something new I've been doing. I think I've done about maybe 3 or 4 now. And I just focus on a card style, but I do it in multiple sizes because I always get asked if I share one size, people always ask me to make it in others. So I'm doing it without you having to ask. So I hope you're enjoying the mini series. Do drop me comments below because I do enjoy reading them, and it really does help out the channel as well. You don't need any specialty dies, you'll just need something to cut your aperture, but you can also draw around things as well. So it's a really good one if you've got limited supplies. So let's get started. So I've got all of the pieces laid out here. I'll go through the main card sizes. So you'll want a piece of 11x8. This is a 300 GSM smooth white cardstock, but you could use a 220. I think this one was even a 180. This is almost more like a paper. But once you add mats and layers onto it and the frame there, it soon adds the strength back in again. So you can go for a lighter weight. So along the 11-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 inch, 2.5, 8.5, and 10.5. And this is the one that you're then going to cut your aperture into. So what I've already done here is I've got these two sets. If you've got these are old Creative Craft products. I've got the inverted scallops and then the filigree. So the filigree is this pretty decorative outer frame, and then the inverted scallop is the inside one. Give you the size of the internal one because that's the size of the main aperture. So it's about, well, actually from the cut, it's more like 5 by 6.25. And then I use the bigger frame, which is 6 by about 7, stuck them together and ran it through with gold, and that gives me the frame here. But it's then the original small inner one that you want to keep to cut into this piece. So this is the one that I'm going to lay down on my card here in the middle. You might want to do, you know, a couple of longer rectangles and maybe have a sentiment stamped in the middle. You might want to do a couple of squares. You might want to do an aperture that's just at the top, and you could stamp and decorate more at the bottom. There's so many different ways that you can do this. I think on that one, you see I brought the frame up slightly more towards the top so I could stamp a message at the bottom. And then this one here, I've got that oval shape. So have a play around, look at what you got, but like I said, draw around something if not. So I'm just going to tape this in place and run it through my machine. This size, obviously if you are cutting your aperture with a die, you'll need your bigger die machine. So now I can stick my frame over the top. Very thin bead of glue all around here. That's going to add a little bit of strength back into this middle section, so obviously it's now quite flimsy. But I've said in a few videos, you can also back this with acetate behind. Works really well, especially with this kind of theme, because it would look like a little aquarium, little glass box that they're looking into. But any of these, if it's a Christmas scene, you can have some snowfall acetate. So if you are worried that it is a bit too flimsy, then I would say to do that, and it will make a big difference. So just line that back up. And then if you fold and burnish all your score lines, go careful around the frame there. Okay, so that is the box section, and then we need to stick that to this piece here, which is 8x8. So really easy to cut that, and you'll see how that's going to sit to one side. You'll want your pieces to create your bars. Now these could just be plain. So as an example, this one here, see all the bars here, they're just white strips. You can see just inside there, they're just plain white strips. I then added the grass on top. But if you want to add some shapes, so the clouds are really easy. I cut this by hand. So whatever you do, you want to make sure they're 7 inches wide, and you need to score at 1/2 inch and 6.5. But the heights are entirely up to you. And all you want to do is you want to cut your design and shape and pattern, whatever it is, you might be drawing around something again, between the score lines. And I would recommend you can have up to 3, a maximum of 3 in this size. You can see I've got them spaced out, and I'm going to show you all that in a moment. But I've done it so that you could see, for example, the biggest kind of cloud that's right at the back. Then you can see the middle one and then the front one. So I just brought each one down ever so slightly. So I think I cut the first one so it was 7 by, what have I got there, 2.5, and then the next one is 7 by 2, and then 7 by 1.5, and then cut just a different design. And you'll see as I lay it over, imagine there'll be a gap in between, but you can see a little bit of each one. That's if you're doing a cloud, and you might not want any at the top either. You don't have to do both. So I think I've done both on all of those, but this one, because it was smaller, I've just got them all at the bottom. And then I did the same for the grass underneath. So the grass is a die, and I've used the big die here. This is from my In the Garden set, but it's the same concept. So it's 7 inches wide, scored at 1/2 inch and 6.5, but each one is slightly bigger. So this one was 3, this one I think was 2 3/4, yeah, and then this one was 2.5. So again, when they sit on top of each other, in fact I'm going to flip that one around, I think it was that one, then that one, you see a little bit of each one, and they're all staggered like so. And again, you can see how that looks there. So you'll want up to 6 pieces, but you may just do 3. You may do 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. So you might want just 4 pieces. Like I said in all these videos, there's so many ways to adapt this to what you've got and the theme and design that you're doing. So you want to take this one here, flip it over, and we're going to start by sticking all of our bars within this 2-inch section here. So you've got your little 1/2 inch tab and the 2-inch section. I'm going to start with the grass, and you want to start with your largest, tallest one first. So the one that's going to go at the back is what you want to stick down first. Fold your tabs, and then you want to add your glue to the left hand side. Okay, flip it over, and you're going to stick this one. So I need it to be flush with the bottom, but you want the edge here to line up with the fold of the tab there. I'm just going to bring it a little bit up just so it definitely doesn't stick out the bottom, but can you see it's right up to there? So when we bring it up, there's a 1/2 inch gap between this tab and the piece of grass. Then if you fold it back this way, take the next one, again add your glue, and now you're going to butt it up to the piece of grass that you've just laid down like so. Again, keep it nice and straight. So I've got a little bit of white card there, and then fold it back that way, and just keep them all nice and parallel with each other. And then the next one, and again stick that right next to it, and then over. Okay, and you should have each of these tabs just sitting next to each other. Then you want to repeat that again with the top part if you're doing it. So again, I've got my clouds. I did just cut a little wedge off of the edges there, just so it creates that tab, and then you don't get anything sticking out the top either. I'll do the rest in a minute, but it's exactly the same process. To start with the largest one first, but this time you're going to butt it right up to the top, or maybe just come down just a smidge, but you're going right up to there again, and then fold it back this way like so. Okay, so I'm just going to whiz through these two. Okay, so I've got all of my pieces now all in place. Next, you want to add your glue on all of the tabs. Make sure it just goes on the tabs and nowhere else. And if you've got any of the tab just slightly going over into the next one, just trim it. So I'm just going to take a little bit off of that one there. Those are okay. These green ones are all fine. So again, just going to add the glue like that. And then all you need to do now is fold the whole front frame and the next side all over and lay it down. And it's now going to stick those other tabs into the other 2-inch section. Just make sure nothing's sticking out the top, so you can wiggle them a little bit if you use the liquid glue. It's a bit more forgiving. And then just carefully bring it up. It's a quick grab glue, so I can go right back over and fold it the other side. And then when you bring it all up, you've got that lovely little scene coming together there. And you could stick that onto anything. It doesn't have to be a side pop-up. You could cut a piece of 6 by 8 now and stick it on, and then it can just fold down and it can just be a box that pops up. But it's just something quite nice. Like I said, I'm just trying to offer different, you know, card shapes and styles. You can add nice sentiments down the sides. You can see that one there. I've added "Have a Blast." I think this one, because it was a bit bigger, you know, had the main sentiment on that side. It's just nice to have something a bit different. So next we can stick this now onto here. So you want to add your glue. I'm going to use the construction glue now because it's going to be nice and strong. This stuff dries like cement. I'm just going to run that all down each of the tabs. If you want to do one at a time, you can. And then you want to focus on this outer folded side here. You want to get it right up to the edge of that piece underneath. And just focus on that for a minute. I'm slightly lifting up this other side. But once you're happy that's in place, drop the other one down and then slowly fold this one down. It's still nice and straight against that side. Fold it all down. You'll see it fit perfectly on the 8x8 underneath, and then you can stick that one down. Just give it a minute to grab. Okay, once you're happy that's all stuck down, bring it up very carefully and fold it again back the other way. Give it a good burnish and then back up again. And then just check it all stands nice and flush with the table there. So now it's all ready to decorate. So I'm going to decorate mine slightly different just so that each one is a bit different. I'm using my background papers from my background scenes, and I'm using this one here. Let's see how that one looks. I'm decorating it with my lovely set here, which is Flying High. And I've cut a couple of the fences as well, because I'm going to be adding those in. I've used the large thank, and then I've stamped the word you, and that's from my big word set. So you can see the thank there, and then you get all of your words to stamp with it. And then I've also got some acetate, which is just here. I keep losing it. And I'm going to, you can see all of these lovely images. I've got the dragonfly, coloured that a little bit different. I've got the lovely, very cute bee, ladybird, different toadstools. But the bee and the ladybird, I'm going to have them different orientations on this one. Just cut yourself about 1/2 inch wide, and then the length is up to you. Strips of acetate, stick them behind your element, and then whether they're coming up from the bottom. If they're coming up from the bottom, make sure you've got a strong, like, construction weight acetate. But you can just attach them, you know, just put a little bit of glue, say, on the grass there, and that would be enough to secure whatever it is, which is what I did actually with all of these. They're actually just stuck to the grass. The only bits on the acetate are these two that are flying. And then you just stick them behind any of these. So you can add loads to this. But before we add all of those, I'll just give you the measurements for the pattern paper. So you probably won't see a lot of the green, but you'll see a little bit of the blue sky there, which will look nice. I've also got the cloud one. I've got one with flowers as well. But because I've already got all that detail there, you wouldn't see that too much anyway. But you want to cut yourself a piece of pattern paper, or you might want to ink up something. If you want to see how I've done this, then you can watch the live where I made all this. This is using Distress Oxide inks and the Distress spritzes, just to give you that nice autumnal background. But you'll want a piece that's just under 6x8, and then a piece that's just under 2x8. If you want to have more of a border, you're not really going to see it in this piece, but maybe on that piece, cut yourself a piece of 1 3/4 by 7 3/4, and then you'll have more of a border. So I made sure because it's got a bit of a seam there, that the seam continues. So you can see now that piece will cover just nicely there. And then this one will slide in, and you can see how that one looks there. So again, you're not seeing too much, but I've got so much colour now to go against this. I just think it's going to make those pop a bit more. What you can also do as well, you see on this one here, I cut him so that some of the image is just in there. I don't know if you can see. There we go. And then he's coming out the other side. You could have it on this bit here as well. It's up to you. Lots of fun ways to add your decoration. Now I'm going to add a wobbler to him again, because I do like that. So these are the action wobblers. I'll have that all linked in the description box below. But like I said, add the acetate. I've added the little fence. I just stick that behind the front, and then the other one will go down there. So that pops quite nicely. And then I'll just add a little bit of glue just to attach that behind there. Anything that you have overhanging the left-hand side is fine, because when you fold it flat, you'll see it will fit into this space here. But if you go over this side, so for me, I've just got to make sure I keep that tail up to that corner there, because otherwise if I go too far over, it's going to stick out this side, and then you'd need a bigger envelope. So just think about that when you go to decorate it. But I'm going to get this all stuck down, and then I'll show you it when it's finished. Okay, so there is the card all finished. You can see them all moving, and then the lovely dragonfly there on the wobbler, which is so cool. I've added some of my little birds as well, just to fill some of that space. So the same but different. They both look really, really lovely. And then again, I'll just bring back in all of the others who you can see, and how they look, you know, side by side as well. I think it's quite nice. And then that one as well. So this is so far what we have in the series: the 6x8, the 8x8, the 5x7 and the 8x4, and then I will be adding the 6x6 and the 7x7. So as always, I hope you're enjoying this little mini series from me and you give some of these cards a go. All of the products, as always, will be linked in the description box below. Drop me a comment. As I said at the start, I do enjoy reading them, and make sure you give the video a thumbs up as well, because it really does help me out. Make sure you're subscribed as well, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.